Okay, we're live. Leila, I am so excited. I'm actually going to come down and visit you guys. You guys have been asking me for, I think, 2 years to come down and visit. And now I get to see your dog, the Snuffleupagus, and probably one of the most exciting conferences in the BI space for the entire world. I think it's actually the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. Is that right?
Yes, yes, it is. It's actually very lucky to have you this year here and in New Zealand, Auckland. Yes, this is one of the largest actually data platform conference that we have in Australia, New Zealand, and is a 3 days conference, 1 day pre-con and 2 days conference. Yeah.
And what are we looking forward to? Who's actually some of the presenters? What are we going to cover?
Oh, we are really excited. We have really great presenter from MVPs from Australia, New Zealand, from Europe. We have lots of Microsoft people coming from Redmond. You, Matt, Mason, Sergey, they're all coming down. And we are really excited. And also we have a really bunch of great speakers from around the world, from Europe and from Asia. And that's really exciting.
Okay. Well, actually, let me tell you people about what I'm doing. I'm actually going to be delivering some brand new content that you guys may not have seen before. So I'm going to share my screen and actually bring up this agenda. So what I'm going to do is wait for a couple seconds. I think that's live. I'm going to lock it to my screen. There we go. So you mentioned Sergey. Sergey is a very close friend of mine. He actually is one of the best trainers in the entire world for the embedded space and actually using the developer APIs for Power BI. And he's actually going to talk all about all the new embedded features. So the courseware that we worked with together and a gentleman that we're mutual friends with, Peter Myers, is the developer in a day. It's actually works longer than a day, but they work you hard and it's really good content. So what they're going to do is they're going to start with an overview. So if you actually are relatively new to Power BI, they're going to go out and talk to you about the different features. And then how do you automate those? Because there's APIs that we've actually recently introduced where you can actually automate a lot of that functionality in Power BI. Then we're going to go into how do you embed all of your resources into websites and applications for you to share your data and get insights from it from all of your customers. Then we're going to go out and actually show how you can extend that with, when I talk about extensibility, I'm talking about your own custom controls. So as you know, there's hundreds of custom controls. Like, what's your favorite, Leila? Mine's the aquarium, without a doubt, right? You gotta love that aquarium one. Do you have a favorite one? Oh, let me guess. Yours is the R visual.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I should have guessed. And then finally, if there's time, this is something that sometimes gets cut, but it's my favorite topic, is going out and talking about real-time dashboards. I know it's also Peter Meyer's favorite topic as well. We put it at the end though because it spans the difference between a developer and an analyst, and we can actually cover that in a lot of the analyst trainings. Versus the first topics are full-on dev. Everything isn't done in Visual Studio. If you're not comfortable with typing semicolons at the end of your lines, that probably isn't training for you, which actually gets you to my training itself. This is actually brand new training that we're working with Kai Angerth, who is actually the program manager in charge of the administration. We have brand new administrative user interfaces. We have brand new APIs. We actually have great brand new experiences and actually going out and look at the reports for your usage. So again, it's probably more than an entire day, but we're going to start again with an introduction to Power BI, understanding the different roles. So whether or not you're doing self-service or actually doing federated, how does it fit in? Looking at the Power BI environment. Hopefully you can see my screen because I'm actually looking at the agenda that on this training that we're working on right now. This is training that we're actually I am creating for this event. Provisioning. We're going to go out and spend a lot of time on the collaboration sharing. We actually do that in 2 different places. We actually do it here, and we spend another 30 minutes later at the end of the day. Then finally getting back into governance. How do you make sure, if you're doing a self-service Power BI, how do you make sure that they are doing the right things and you can tell what they're doing? So again, people want to do the right things in most cases, but you as an administrator, you need to make sure that they are to help them. People don't usually try to break rules, but if they do, you want to go out and actually know that and get back to them as soon as possible. Usage and monitoring. We actually probably spend, even though it doesn't say, we probably spend the most amount of time in that. Data forensics. What are your people doing with those data sets, and actually how can you help them? And maybe actually go out and license them correctly. In many cases, people are licensed incorrectly. You might be able to save your company some time. The data access infrastructure itself. How do you actually go out and tune it and actually make it as most performant as possible? We went back and forth a lot. Is that an administrator or is that almost a BI engineer's role? And we landed on the fact that it's definitely both. So we actually cover a lot of performance tuning in this particular. If you add those numbers up, I don't think it's 8 hours. I think it's more like a 10-hour day that we've got. I already talked about the broadening the reach, and then we touch on the same thing that we do in the developer in a day. How do you automate a lot of this stuff? In the developer day, we're going to actually do that from C# and usually in Visual Studio. In my session, we're going to be using PowerShell. So if you guys haven't played with PowerShell, this is your opportunity to see it live at Difinity with Charles Sterling. And then finally, that's the pre-conference. I think you guys are having me do some breakout sessions. I'm hoping I get to do one of my favorite topics at the Business Application Summit. It was actually one of the top-rated sessions with me and Tristan. You know Tristan, he's a good friend of ours. We did storytelling. So we took all of the data visualization best practices breakout that I did 2 years ago, and we fold in how do you actually add this to give narratives and actually automate that through bookmarks. So we're changing the rules on the way you think about reports, and that these things can now be, well, as Phil Seamark showed this morning, I don't know if you got a chance to look at that webinar this morning, Leila, how you can actually create games. And you can, obviously if you can create a game, you can create very interactive experiences. So check out me at Difinity in February, where I'm going to cover out admin a day, or we're going to cover storytelling. And Sergey, my good friend, is actually going to do developer in a day using some of the training that we work on together. So Leila, thank you for inviting me. Did you want to close?
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That's great, actually, agenda. I think that everyone was interested to attend. So that's really great. Thank you for providing this information, and really happy to have this agenda for Difinity. I think many people are looking forward to that. And thank you for coming to the New Zealand.
Thank you very much, Leila. I'm going to stop the broadcast now.
Thank you.